Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the call today. We have Marcos Maidana. Obviously, he'll be fighting Floyd in the main event. We have a tremendous undercard, which will open up the undercard with Alfredo Angulo. He'll be opening up. In the next bout, we'll have Miguel Vasquez. He'll be fighting Mickey Bay for the IBF lightweight title. And then in the co-main, we'll have Leo Santa Cruz, who'll be defending his super bantamweight title. And then obviously in the main event, there'll be none other than Floyd and Maidana. This fight is the rematch. The first fight, as we all know, was a tremendous fight. I think Marcos came into the fight and he proved to many fans and media across the world that he was a force to be reckoned with. During the fight, I think that he proved himself that many people thought that he had won the fight. So he has the opportunity come 2 weeks to prove that the first fight was no joke. So he'll be coming into this fight better prepared. His trainer, they have an excellent strategy coming into this fight, from what I'm hearing. He's coming into this fight with a tremendous amount of confidence because in his mind, he believes that he broke the Maybenci code. And what an interesting situation we have that's developing in front of us. So to get on to some of the facts that we have with the fight, this fight will be promoted by Mayweather Promotions along with Golden Boy Promotions. Our sponsors are O'Reilly, Corona, and the Equalizer. Tickets for this fight, we still have a few tickets left at the $600 price. This event also will be shown in over 500 movie theaters across the country through Fathom Events. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to our co-promoter, none other than Senior VP of Golden Boy Promotions, Eric Gomez.
Great. Thank you very much, Leonard. Happy to be on the fight, to be on the call for this fight. And this is a great opportunity, obviously, for Marcos Maidana. He's ready for the fight. He's training hard. And we feel that Robert Garcia is going to have a great game plan this time around so he can finally get over that hump and beat Mayweather. This is going to be the fight of his life, So to talk a little bit about training camp and how things are going, I want to introduce to you the trainer for Marcos Maidana, Robert Garcia, to say a few words. Robert?
Thank you, Eric. Well, training camp's going great. We've been training hard, sparring good. We have great sparring partners, and everybody's doing a great job. You know, everybody in the gym, the whole team, not only myself and Maidana, but everybody that makes Team Maidana, everybody's doing their job, and so far everything's great. You know, we've had a full training camp this time around. We're not short on sparring rounds. I'm not short on mid work. I'm not short on anything. You know, we had our full 8 weeks of training camp. So training camp is better than ever, I think. You know, the best training camp I've had with Chino since he got to me.
Great. Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you. And also, to introduce you, to say a few words and talk about how things are going is Marcos Maidana himself. Marcos, ¿puedes hablar, decir unas cuantas palabras, por favor?
Sí, hola. Hola. ¿Me escuchas?
Sí. Saludar al público, a los medios, por favor.
Bueno, sí, buenas tardes. Buen día. Acá estamos muy bien entrenados, esperando el 13 de septiembre, que vamos a hacer historia.
He says, hi, how are you? Good afternoon to everybody. Training hard, ready for September 13th. So with that, Leonard?
Okay, we can just open it up for questions now.
All right, if you'd like to ask a question, please press *1 on your telephone keypad. This will place your question in the order it was received. Again, that is *1 if you would like to ask a question. All right, and we'll go with our first question in the queue, Mike Woods from Sweet Science.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking the time to do the call. This question is for Marcos and then Robert. Marcos, I think there's a lot of conventional wisdom out there that says maybe the only way that you can beat Floyd Mayweather is by knockout. Really hard to outbox such a masterful pugilist. Do you agree or disagree that the only way to beat Mayweather probably is by knockout?
Oyes, Marcos, la pregunta es para ti. Muchos piensan que el único modo que puedes ganar esta pelea es por knockout. Muchos no piensan que puedes boxear y ganar una decisión. ¿Tú estás de acuerdo con eso?
Sí, yo creo que puedo ganar por decisión o por nocaut. Por decisión estuve muy cerca la primera pelea, estuvimos no muy lejos de las tarjetas, así que yo creo que poniendo un poquito más de presión y golpe más justo se le puede ganar por decisión también, pero bueno, sería lindo ganarle por nocaut.
No, I don't agree with that statement. I think that I can win by decision or by knockout. The first fight was a very close fight. It was a decision. There was a split decision. So I feel that I just have to make a few adjustments, put a little more pressure on, land better punches. And yes, I can win by decision. But obviously the knockout would be nice, and, that's a possibility as well.
And Robert, the question is posed to you. For those saying that the only way that Maidana can beat Mayweather is by knockout, your answer is what, sir?
Definitely not. We could also win by decision. Like Chino just said, it would be very nice to get a knockout. But if we win the rounds the way we were doing the first half of the fight, I think there's no question that we could also win the fight by decision.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Be well.
Yes.
All right, and our next question coming from Dan Rafael from ESPN.
Hey, guys, how are you today? Eric, could you ask Marcos, I already saw the first fight, what happened, and I wonder in his mind when he goes through it and he thinks about it, what's the one or two things that he needs to do, I guess, most differently to make sure that he secures the victory in the rematch?
Marcos, la pregunta es para ti. ¿Ya revisaste bien la primera pelea, y qué es lo más importante que tienes que ajustar para poder ganar esta segunda?
Bueno, el ataque de la primera pelea, el ataque mío estuvo muy bien, pero bueno, me encimé mucho. Yo creo que no tuve la distancia para poder tirar los golpes fuertes con potencia y con precisión. Yo creo que no... Bueno, yo no sentí que lo haya agarrado a Floyd Mayweather con un golpe justo, porque si lo llevo a agarrar, yo creo que lo va a sentir.
The first fight, I think that my attack, the pressure was very, very good, but I didn't do well with my distance control. I think I smothered a lot of my punches. I wasn't able to really catch them with good, solid shots, being able to extend my punches. And that's one of the things that I'm working on. The fact that I smothered my punches, I don't really think I ever hurt him. But this time around, if I get him with good, solid shots, work my distance control, I think I can hurt him.
Robert, could you answer that question also, since you're the one that's going to be telling him in the gym what he needs to be doing most differently to make sure he gets to win this time?
Look, we are fighting the way we did the first fight, with the pressure. But like Chino's saying, we need to have a little more distance, a little more control in his punches, and we are working on that. His punches are thrown a lot more accurate, straighter punches, and our sparring partners are telling us, that this time around, they feel the power even harder than they did the first time. So he's actually, doing listening and doing the job that he's supposed to be able to make those changes.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Robert, when you guys trained for the first fight, you had a little shorter of a training camp because Marcos was at home. His wife was having a child. And did you have a shorter camp? I'm just trying to remember, how long that first camp was compared to this one.
Yeah, that is correct. We had about 5 weeks for the first fight. Even though Chino came in already, semi in shape, it was still not the same. This time he came here 9 weeks before the fight, started training full camp. We had good 8 weeks of training, so I think that it's going to make a big difference. 5 weeks compared to 8 weeks of training makes a big difference for this type of fight. And I think with everything that he's doing and learning new things, the people should, they're going to see a different fight this time.
Eric, could you ask Marcos, does he agree with Robert that the fact that there isn't that situation with the family, with the child on the way, that being able to focus entirely on the camp and having a more normal length camp will be to benefit to him for this fight?
La pregunta, Marcos, es para ti. Roberto acaba de indicar que la primer pelea no tuviste suficiente tiempo para prepararte, que para esta segunda pelea no hay distracciones de tener un bebé. La primer pelea, obviamente, tu señora estaba teniendo bebé. Esta vez tuviste suficiente tiempo, no hay ninguna excusa. ¿Puedes comentar sobre eso?
Sí, no, esta vez vine a entrenar para ganar, a entrenar sabiendo lo que es Mayweather y ya conociéndolo, tranquilo, sin tener nada de qué preocuparme. Así que por eso estoy muy bien entrenado y he entrenado muy fuerte.
This time around, yes, that's true. This time around, I'm training to win. I know what to expect. I know Mayweather now, his style, what he brings to the table. I'm coming to win. I have more concentration, no excuses whatsoever, and adequate time.
All right, I have one more question for you guys. Eric, could you ask him? Marcos has never had a rematch in his professional career. Floyd has had one rematch in his career with Jose Castillo, and I'm curious to hear his point of view as to the thought about fighting the same guy a second time, especially immediately, and also does he think that the familiarity that each of them have with each other, does it benefit one or the other? And Robert, answer that question when Marcos is done. I'd appreciate it.
Okay, Marco, la pregunta para ti. Esta es tu primer revancha. Y esta solamente es la segunda vez que Floyd da revancha. José Luis Castillo fue el primero. ¿Tú crees que esto te ayuda a ti? Porque ya lo conoces, que ya se conocen, ¿o tú crees que le ayuda más a Mayweather?
No, yo creo que es una ventaja para mí y quizá para él también. Para mí es una ventaja de conocerlo ya y bueno, voy a aprovechar los errores que por ahí él comete, aunque no tiene mucho, pero bueno, voy a corregir mis errores que yo cometí para poder llegarle con más precisión en esta pelea.
No, I think it's an advantage for me. It might be a little bit of an advantage for him, but I think it benefits me more having a rematch with him. I'm able to correct the mistakes I made in the first fight, and take advantage of his mistakes. Even though he makes, very few mistakes, I already know what they are, and I think I can exploit that and take advantage of it.
And Robert, your thoughts on that? Who the rematch may benefit?
Look, you just said Mayweather's only done one rematch, and obviously everybody's seen, he easily outboxed Castillo, but it's a big difference, Castillo's style to Maidana's style. Maidana's going to come in, with that aggressive style that nobody, not even the best boxer could get away with, and Mayweather's not going to get away with it. Maidana's going to pressure, and it's going to be the fighter that everybody wants to see. I think in this case, the rematch benefits us because Mayweather can't do much more different things. We can, and we are, and the rematch benefits us.
All right, very good. Thank you guys very much. Eric, thanks for the translation. Always great.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, our next question coming from Abraham with La Opinión.
Marcos, buenas tardes. ¿Cómo estás?
Buenas tardes.
Marcos, ¿crees que Floyd Mayweather te da la revancha porque deportivamente te la mereces o te la da porque comercialmente eres un buen gancho para vender pay-per-views?
Yo no sé, la verdad que por qué me la da y yo creo que yo estoy contento porque voy a tener la revancha contra Floyd Mayweather y lo voy a aprovechar, voy a hacer todo lo posible para poder ganar esa pelea.
¿Quién le da la
Deja traducir antes de la segunda pregunta, deja traducir eso. Okay. The question was, do you feel, Marco, that Floyd Mayweather is giving you the rematch because you deserve it or because they could do business on the pay-per-view? And Marco's answers was, I really don't think about that. I really don't care. My concern is winning the fight. I want to beat him this time. I'm going to do whatever it takes to beat him.
Marcos, en este caso, ¿quién concedió la revancha? ¿Tú concediste la revancha a Floyd Mayweather o Mayweather te la concedió a ti?
No, la verdad que yo no sé cómo salió la revancha. A mí me llamó Sebastián Contursi y me dijo, se dio la revancha, así que él me la concedió a mí.
The question is, who really gave who the rematch? Did Floyd give you the rematch, or were you willing to give him the rematch? How did the rematch come about? And Marcos' answer is, look, I really don't know the details how it came about. My manager, Sebastián Contursi, called me, and he just said, hey, we got the rematch, and, you know, I'm happy.
Okay, gracias.
Gracias a usted.
All right, our next question coming from Lem Satterfield from ringtv.com.
Hey, guys, how are you?
Good.
Picking up on what was just asked, for Maidana and for Robert, do you feel that Mayweather was in position to take this rematch because, or forced into position because of the perception that the fight was so close and the notion that people thought, some people thought that he lost, as Leonard Ellerby referenced, or do you think that he could have moved on without taking this rematch and without his legacy taking a hit?
Let me ask Maidana first. Marcos, la pregunta es para ti. ¿Tú crees que Floyd te dio la revancha por presión? Porque la primera pelea fue muy cerrada, muchos piensan que tú ganaste. ¿Tú crees que te la dio por presión? ¿O tú crees que él tenía la decisión y quizás podría pelear con otro y nadie lo iba a criticar?
Yo creo que me dio la revancha porque la pelea fue muy pareja la primera y no sé, creo que para demostrar que me puede ganar bien o no sé, o quizás por negocio, pero bueno, yo no me importa por lo que sea, estoy contento que me haya dado la revancha.
You know, I think that I got the rematch because it was a close fight. It was a close fight. He probably wants to prove a point. He wants to demonstrate that he can beat me outright. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that the rematch is happening, and I'm very happy.
Robert?
You know, I truly believe that he had no other options. He was forced to give us a rematch. He was forced to fight Maidana. There was no other names out there that he could have fought in September that would make sense. A rematch with Maidana is the only fight that made sense to sell pay-per-views, to please the fans, and he had no other options. That's what I think.
Okay. Do you think that the referee will be a factor, given that Floyd was not happy with Tony Weeks and that Bayless has more of a working familiarity with Mayweather, having officiated, you know, his big fights with De La Hoya, Mosley, and Alvarez? Do you think that he will be a factor? Question for both of you.
Marco, ¿tú crees que va a ser un factor el referee? En la primera pelea Floyd no estaba contento con Tony Weeks, ahora tienen a Kenny Bayless. ¿Tú crees que él va a estar más cómodo con Kenny Bayless porque Kenny Bayless ha hecho 3, 4 de las peleas de Mayweather anteriormente?
No sé, la verdad que quizá por ahí el referee lo ayuda, o no sé, yo voy a hacer mi trabajo y bueno, que sea lo que sea.
You know, maybe the referee is going to intervene. Maybe he's going to be a big part of the fight. I really don't know. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do what I've been training on, what my work is, and I'm going to go there and work. It really doesn't matter to me.
Robert?
Yeah, you know, I think Tony did a great job in the first fight. Kenny Bayless is a great ref. He's done a lot of championship fights, so he's experienced, and I have no problem with him. I just said that, you know, I just know that, you know, since the press conference, we still didn't know. Nobody knew who the ref was, and Mayweather, by starting to announce that Maidana is a dirty fighter, Maidana is an MMA fighter, well, that was pretty much already preparing whoever the ref was going to be to see that and to have that in his mind. Well, I don't think that's going to be a big difference because Kenny is a professional. He knows he's done a lot of fights, and we're gonna, he has to be fair. It's a fight between two fighters, and he's got to be fair to both of them. I'm not worried about Kenny. Actually, Kenny's a great ref, and I know he's going to do a great job.
Last question. Power lock. You're using the power lock gloves, correct?
I'm still not very sure. I know Sebastian Contursi is still on that. I haven't talked to him lately. I know Maidana yesterday was still asking me if we had resolved that. I told him no. So honestly, I have, maybe that's a question Sebastian or maybe Leonard Alby could answer. But we have no problem. We don't have a problem with the power locks. We just wanted enough time to train them. Not use them the day of the fight when we had never wore those gloves before. There's no problem. The power lock is a good glove, and we have to wear that. We're already training in it just in case. But I have no problem. I'm already training my fighter to be prepared for that.
If regardless,
Lem, not cut you off.
Go ahead.
The question. Yes, Marcos will be fighting in the power lock gloves.
Thank you. My last question relating to that: win or lose, if Floyd is, say, dominant, or if he wins, will you be able to move on without talking about the gloves? Robert and
Marcos,
my last.
Look, when we agree to the fight, then we cannot go back and say, we should have used the gloves. No, there's nothing we could do. We agree, we're fighting in those gloves, so there's not going to be no excuses. The fight's going to be the fight, but it does make a difference. And Mayweather's the only fighter that can make those calls, make those decisions. And hey, we also have to understand that that's the way it is. That's the way business is. But no, we are not going to have any. We can't have any excuses.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Good luck in the fight.
Thank you.
As a reminder, if you'd like to ask a question, that is *1 on your telephone keypad. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next question in the queue, coming from Kevin McRae from the Bleacher Report.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone on the call. I'd like to thank you guys for taking the time to do this today, and especially to Marcos. Wish you nothing but the best of luck in a safe fight coming up on the 13th. My first question for you is that when we get to September 13th, Floyd Mayweather will be closer to his 38th birthday than he will be to his 37th birthday. And for a fighter like relies so much on timing and reflexes and his head and footwork to win fights, do you feel that by the time you get to September 13th, given that he was willing to engage more in the first fight, that's a result of him slowing down a little bit as a professional given his style, or do you think that was just because of the pressure that Marcos was able to bring to him on the first fight in May?
Is that for Robert or for Marco? The question.
Both. I like for both.
For both? Okay, let me ask Marco. Marco, la pregunta es obviamente en la revancha, septiembre 13, Mayweather va a ser más viejo de edad. Va a estar más cerca hasta 38 años que 37 cuando peleó en mayo. ¿Tú crees que la primer pelea él estaba dispuesto a pelear fue causa por su edad? ¿Tú crees que él es una de las causas, la razón que él peleó? Porque normalmente él es un peleador que usa su rapidez, reflejos. ¿Tú crees que está un poco más despacio por la edad? ¿O tú crees que peleó así porque fue la decisión de él?
Yo creo que peleó por decisión de él, porque en un momento empezó a caminar el ring también, se paró en algunos momentos y otros momentos se puso a caminar. Yo creo que tiene mucho todavía, no está tan viejo, está muy bien físicamente. Así que nada, bueno, en esta revancha ojalá se pare y pelee como hombre, no se ponga a correr.
I don't think age has anything to do with it. I don't think it does, because in the first fight, he stood and fought with me a little bit, but then he started boxing and moving at times. So I don't think age has anything to do with it. He's a good athlete. He's in shape. I think that it was his decision to stand and fight with me. This second fight, I hope he decides to stand and fight with me, to fight like a man. I hope he doesn't start running or trying to move away.
If I could just get Robert's feelings on the same question, basically.
Yeah, I agree with what Chino just said. Mayweather is going to be 38, but he's taking care of his body. He's an athlete. He's a natural. So I don't think age is a factor in this fight. But like Chino said, we just hope that he, if he wants to please the crowd, like he said he tried to do it the first fight. Well, hopefully this time he does it even better. Let's stand in front, let's exchange punches, and let's see who the better man is. Let's see who the stronger man is, and we'll show him the difference there. But I think age is not a factor in his age right there.
All right, just have one more if I'd like to address to both Robert and Marcos again. What can you do stylistically in this fight to force more of those types of exchanges that you saw in the first fight? I mean, it's obviously fair to say that in the rounds where Marcos was able to get inside on Mayweather and to force him into more action than we're used to seeing him, he did better because that's more of his style and not so much of Floyd's style. But in the rounds where Floyd was able to keep distance and to box and move effectively, Marcos had a hard time getting his offense going, and a lot of his shots were picked off. So how does he change or adapt stylistically in the second fight to maybe cut the ring off better and make sure that Mayweather is forced into more of those tight spots that favor Maidana's offensive output?
La pregunta es para ti, Marco. Marco, ¿qué es lo que tú puedes hacer adentro del ring para forzar a Mayweather que se pare a pelear contigo? Obviamente, en la primera pelea tú lo forzaste, tú lo hiciste pelear. Habían asaltos donde él se empezó a mover y no te fue bien, pero de repente habían momentos donde tú lo forzaste pelear. ¿Qué es lo que podrías hacer en esta pelea para forzarlo a pelear, que se pare a pelear contigo?
Bueno, voy a hacer lo que hice en los primeros rounds, que lo forcé a pelear. Él caminó, se puso a boxear cuando yo lo dejé, porque yo me quedé. Pero ahora, como voy a estar bien en buenas condiciones y muy bien preparado, voy a tener todo el ritmo de los primeros rounds hasta el último, el mismo ritmo, y no va a poder boxear, se va a tener que parar.
Yes, you're right. I was able to force him. I was able to force him to fight, to stand and fight. It had a lot to do with conditioning. The times when he decided to box is because I let him get away. I let him be able to box and move. I think that I did well in forcing him to fight because of the pressure I put on. This time around, I'm not going to get tired. I'm going to be on him from the opening bell for the entire fight, and I think that's going to force him to fight.
Just if I could just get Robert's opinion on that as well.
No, I think Chino just said what I have to say. We're training for to be able to do what we did for 12 rounds. We're training to do that. We don't, the first fight we only had 5 weeks of training, so sparring wasn't the same. We didn't have enough rounds. This time we're having a full training camp, so I don't see why we can't do the same thing we did for the first 5-6 rounds for 12 rounds. I think we're gonna be able to do it for 12 rounds.
All right, great. Again, guys, and again, best of luck in a safe fight, Marcos.
All right, and our next question coming from Laura Lee de Leon from La Prensa.
Buenas tardes, Marcos, muchas gracias por atender esta conferencia. Mi pregunta es, ¿ya tuviste la primera oportunidad de pelear con Mayweather?
Okay, hang on one sec, please. Whoever is asking the question, we cannot hear you.
¿Puedes hablar un poco más recio? No se escucha muy bien.
Can you hear me now? ¿Me escuchan?
Yeah, a little louder, a little louder.
You have to get it closer to the phone, please.
Marcos, una primera oportunidad de pelear con Mayweather. Ya sabes un poquito cómo es su técnica. En esta segunda oportunidad, en esta segunda pelea, ¿cuál crees que es ese punto débil al que vas a tocarle a Mayweather?
¿Cómo?
¿Escuchaste, Marco? ¿Escuchaste bien?
Muy poco, muy poco.
¿Puedes repetir? Es que no se escucha muy bien. Un poco más fuerte, por favor, la voz.
Okay. Ya has tenido la oportunidad de pelear con Mayweather anteriormente. En el ring ya pudiste llegar a conocer cuál es ese punto débil de Mayweather. ¿Nos podrías comentar cuál es ese punto? ¿Cómo harás esa pelea?
Bueno, yo creo que Mayweather cuando se queda contra las cuerdas, ahí yo puedo aprovechar a hacer mi trabajo. Y bueno, en la primera pelea no lo hice porque estuve muy ansioso, me encimé mucho, no le di recorrido a los golpes que vayan con fuerza y no pude hacerle daño.
Deja traducir eso. The question was, now that you know Mayweather, you fought him the first fight, what can you do to benefit him, to benefit you in this fight? It's going to work for you in this fight. And the answer was, pressuring him. When I was able to pressure him the first fight and get him in the ropes and fight with him, make him fight, I did very, very well. Whenever he moved, that's when I had problems with him. But for this fight here, I want him to stand and fight like a man.
Marco, ¿hay alguna manera de que te sientas intimidado en esta pelea?
¿Que me sienta qué?
Intimidado. ¿De alguna manera recuperas esa intimidación, como bien mencionaste en esa primera pelea? ¿Vas más fuerte o hay algún poco de nervio aún?
No, en esta segunda pelea voy muy tranquilo. Sé que Floyd Mayweather no es lo que parece. Es un gran boxeador, pero yo no le tengo respeto, así que voy a ir mejor que la primera.
Yeah, the question is this fight. Obviously, you think you're going to be able to intimidate him? You think you're going to be able to do things to make him fight? And he said, yeah, this fight, I'm not going to respect him. I'm going to go at him, and I want him to fight like a man. Stop crying like a little bitch and fight.
Por último, Marco, ¿qué puedes decir de esas personas que piensan que Mayweather dominará la pelea?
Bueno, la verdad que tienen derecho a pensar lo que quieran. No le puedo decir nada. Lo único que digo es que bueno, que yo voy a hacer mi trabajo y a tratar de ganar y a dejar todo ahí arriba del ring. Y también quiero decirle a Mayweather que se pare, que pelee como hombre y que si me tiene que ganar, que me gane como un gran campeón que es, como invicto, como libra por libra que es, que me gane como tiene que ser para que la gente crea en él.
Okay, the question was, what can you do in this second fight to make it better, to make him fight you, to stand and fight? And the answer was, hey, I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna come to fight. I want him to come and to fight, to stand and fight like a man. Don't be a little bitch like a woman, run around. Come and fight like a man. Stand and fight me.
Ganes o pierdas esta pelea, ¿cuál sería tu próxima pelea?
La verdad que no sé. Voy a ver cómo termina esa pelea y después ponerme a pensar. La verdad que estoy pensando solamente en esta revancha que tengo que aprovechar y bueno, en el futuro pensaré después de la pelea.
The question was, what are you going to do after this fight, win or lose? And Marcos said, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about what's after this. I'm just thinking about this fight and winning this fight. That's all I'm thinking about.
All right, and we're going to move on to our next question. This is coming from Andrew Rodriguez from Univision.
Sí, buenas tardes, Marcos. Después de la primera pelea, Mayweather dijo que él había hecho un estilo de pelea arriesgando un poquito más para complacer a sus fanáticos y demostrarles que podía pelear de otra forma. ¿Tú crees que en esta él va a ser incluso más elusivo de lo que fue la primera vez?
Puede ser, pero yo creo que yo no lo dejé, yo lo hice que pelee conmigo. Yo hice que él se pare a pelear porque no le di tregua, estuve todo el tiempo encima, así que no fue porque él quiso.
The question was, you think Mayweather's made comments that the first fight he stood and fought with you toe to toe because he wanted to please the fans, be more fan friendly. Do you think that's the case? And Marco said, no, I think that I forced him to fight. I didn't let him try to box. I think that I'm the one that forced the issue. I made him fight me, and that's the reason he fought that way.
Sí, y otra pregunta también para Marcos. ¿Nos puedes hablar un poquito del trabajo que has tenido con los sparring? Has tenido sparring a muy buen nivel. ¿Nos puedes hablar un poquito de eso?
Sí, no, he estado haciendo sparring con Mike García, con Tomás Dulorme, con Steve Ford. Los sparring me han ayudado mucho. Y bueno, la verdad que estoy muy contento por el trabajo que hicimos en el gimnasio. Creo que todo va a salir bien.
The question was, how's training going? How's the sparring going for you? And Marco said it's been great. I've been sparring with Mikey Garcia, Thomas Delorme, Stevie Forbes, and I'm very, very content with the work they've given me and the work I've done in the gym.
Sí, bueno, muchas gracias.
All right, and our next question is coming from Andre Andino from Ole, Buenos Aires.
Hola Marcos, ¿cómo estás? Soy el de Ole de Buenos Aires. Te quería preguntar si en alguna noche soñaste con la mano del knockout para la pelea.
No, la verdad que no he soñado, no he tenido ese sueño tan lindo.
The question was, Marco, and at any time have you dreamt or had a dream about knocking out Floyd? And he said, no, I haven't had the pleasure of having such a nice dream.
Y Marcos, Sebastián Contursi y Pileta, tu primo, dicen que vas a ganar por nocaut en el 9º. ¿Cuál es tu pronóstico, si pensás como ellos, o te imaginás cómo puede llegar a darse la definición de la pelea?
Bueno, la verdad que no sé, noquear a Floyd Mayweather es muy difícil, tiene mucha defensa y agarrarlo con un buen golpe es complicado, pero bueno, yo lo que quiero es ganar, sea como sea.
The question was, your manager and cousin, Sebastian Contursi, Piletas, they say that you're going to knock him out within 9 rounds. What do you think? And Marco said, well, I'm going to try. It's very difficult to knock out Floyd because he runs. But, I'm going to do my best and we'll see what happens.
La última, Marcos, ¿qué te provoca que Mayweather siga diciendo que sos un boxeador sucio?
No me provoca nada. La verdad que yo creo que no soy un boxeador sucio. He hecho algunas cosas que también él las hace, así que no me provoca nada.
Okay, the question was, how do you feel about Floyd saying that you're a dirty fighter? And Marco said, you know what, it doesn't bother me. There's things that he does as well in there. So it's better for him to stop crying and just fight.
Okay, muchas gracias y suerte.
Gracias.
All right, and we'll go ahead and move on to our next question. This is coming from Jenna J. with On the Ropes Boxing.
My question's for Marcos Maidana. Marcos, before the rematch was announced, you were reporting in the press as saying that you might consider retiring if you didn't get a fight with Floyd. And last week I actually had a chance to speak with Robert Garcia and said, you know, if you lose this upcoming fight, he wouldn't be surprised if you retired. I'm curious, how close do you really think you would have came to actually retiring if you didn't get a fight with Floyd? And if you don't win this rematch, can you see a scenario where you would actually retire?
La pregunta es para ti, Marco. Antes de esta pelea, habían rumores o comentarios tuyos que si no hubieras recibido la revancha, que quizás te ibas a retirar. ¿Es cierto eso? ¿Estabas a punto de retirarte? Y esta pelea, si no ganas esta pelea, la revancha, ¿es probable que te retires?
Bueno, la verdad que no he pensado todavía en mi futuro, pero sí fue una cosa que dije que si no había revancha contra Floyd Mayweather, con quién otro iba a pelear y yo creo que por este año iba a descansar. Este año me iba a retirar y bueno, de última volví el año que viene, pero sí, no, yo dije que sí, que si no me daba la revancha este año no iba a pelear.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I haven't really thought about past this fight, but that is true. I did make those comments, and you know, I was really contemplating retiring if he didn't give me the rematch, and I would have retired for the rest of this year at least, and then see what comes up next year. But yes, it was something that crossed my mind, and I was willing to retire.
I know, Marcos, you said multiple times during this media call that you hope he stands and fights with you, fights like a man. I'm wondering, how do you see yourself winning a fight if he doesn't do that, if he runs away from you more, if he tries to stay away and just simply box? Can you see yourself winning a fight if he just completely tries to stay away through the whole fight?
En esta llamada has dicho varias veces que ojalá se quede a pelear como un hombre, que no corra como una vieja. Si él va a correr, ¿tú crees que es posible que puedas ganar esta pelea?
Bueno, yo me estoy preparando para hacer lo que sea sobre el ring. Si corre le voy a cerrar los caminos y bueno, si tengo que pelear me peleo. Estoy muy bien preparado para lo que sea, como salga él le voy a hacer pelea.
He said that look, he's preparing for anything. He hopes that he stands and fights, that he's going to stand and fight. But if he's going to run like a little bitch, he's going to have to chase him all around, and he's prepared to do that.
All right, and our last question is coming from Eddie Goldman with No Holds Barred.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. This fight is being compared in some ways to the scenario 12 years ago when Mayweather fought Jose Luis Castillo, and the first fight was very close, and then they had the rematch, and Mayweather won in the eyes of most people by a more decisive way. But again, that was 12 years ago. This is both Marcos and Robert. How do you expect Mayweather to change for this fight, and how will you counter whatever change he makes?
Marco, la pregunta es obviamente muchos están comparando esta revancha como la de José Luis Castillo, donde Mayweather obviamente le dio la revancha y regresó y cambió, era otro peleador. ¿Tú crees que va a ser otro peleador en esta pelea, que va a cambiar bastante, y cómo puedes forzarlo a pelear?
Bueno, yo creo que si uno lo deja cambiar, puede cambiar, pero yo voy a salir a atacar todo el tiempo, cosa que él se pare o que corra como una pinche vieja.
Yeah, I'm sure that, for this second fight, he can come out and fight differently, have a different game plan. I'm not going to change. I'm going to come and I'm going to put the pressure on, and I'm going to try to force him to fight. I'm hoping, again, that he doesn't start running like a little bitch all over the ring.
How would you counter a lot of the moves that he does, the shoulder roll, even when you cut off the ring and he gets in the corner, he's been a master over the years of making his opponents miss. How do you plan to counter those types of situations?
¿Cómo es que puedes, obviamente él es un maestro él defensivamente, en la defensa, cómo es que tú puedes cambiar o poder pelear contra él cuando él está usando el hombro y se mueve mucho. ¿Cómo es que puedes utilizar lo que tú tienes para poder ganarle?
Bueno, lo que voy a hacer es cuando él utilice el hombro, los brazos, le voy a pegar en el hombro, en el brazo, voy a llevar la potencia, cosa para del primer round pegarle por los brazos, por los hombros, donde sea, que ya para el 8 o 9 round no tenga fuerza como para defenderse.
He said that the way to counter that, his defensive moves with the shoulder roll and the arms and all that, he said, I'm going to hit him there. I'm going to hit him in the shoulder. I'm going to hit him in the arms. And, come 8th, 9th round, he's going to be so tired from all the punches that he's not going to be able to defend himself anymore.